Indian news ma kwaba assign the ba wan kasa fidie so bio. Na maka trust before anything else na just a share na ebiem so kwa na wo subscribe to your channel no. What's the political news there? Never governance. We catch you sa pan put to forma yet. Na pan to forma yet there. Ane na nsɛm foforɔ bi nso asan asi. Benim sɛ wo de nsɛm ade ba nyina na ya na ya wote na ya wohwe na ya wofa nso so. Nti no nsɛm foforɔ bi asi a Nimbie news yɛn nso so pane yɛ tɔɔfo mi baabi yɛ ti nyinaa akyi no yɛn nsa atumi aka bi na yɛaso nso atumi ate saa nsɛm bi. Yɛn tie nsɛm mmra sisi a na mpanimfoɔ mpo sɛ kakum no yɛgye no kɔkɔɔ anum. Deɛ ba before that no subscribe to yɛn channel no. Ɔmsa bɛka all other news a ɛfa politics wɔn de deɛ wɔpɛ sɛ wotie no ɛho. Etie ba ebe ba bia susu anso pɛ so de bɔde ho fa na de asie bia no nso fa comment nso to asie na yɛn kenkan mfama wo de ready na ɛmɛkɔ yɛn tie nsɛm mmra sisi a wotie no fa comment to asie ba yɛn fa nkyɛmu no nso nto aso yɛn tie mmra.
So Honorable Sami said that during the days of opposition, he maintained fire on Akufo-Addo. Fire on Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo said the presidential jet is gone on servicing, so I flew a plane from New York to Accra. Okudzeto had the amount of money. Everybody was sort of, Akufo-Addo shouldn't spend that kind of money just traveling. And then the matters became worse when defense minister went to parliament and apparently murmured something like, Akufo-Addo cannot even take a shower in the plane. He was not even speaking on the floor. I think he murmured it. When he was talking, people were, parliament, they heckle quite a bit. And they said, oh, but the plane, he cannot even bath in it. And they said, hey, did you hear what he said? He cannot bath in it. He cannot bath in the plane. President wants to bath in the plane. Cartoons were developed out of it. I went to see the defense minister back in the day. I don't know, those of you who watch Good Evening Ghana will remember. I interviewed him in his office. I brought the tape, we played it. Try as they did, it was very difficult because the circumstances of the economy as it is today was quite difficult. Kenke had just approached 5 cities in those days. Everybody was angry. And then they heard that the president is flying some private jet and da-da-da-da-da. Ablakwah took advantage of it and milked it completely. He actually over-milked it until the point where he granted this interview to Adom FM. Have a look at the interview.
NDC banner nipa wodi animu no kofe fasa private jet bia na wo wa ban you resign.
I'll resign. Because what
resign?
What may resign? Why should I stay there? May resign because the million is on principle and yet personal. And yes, I may time President Akufo-Addo and as I mean President Akufo-Addo. It's the principle. It's about protecting the public purse.
Viewers, what shall we say to these things? This is Okudzeto Ablakwah. He's not just any minister at all. Today, he's the foreign minister, and therefore, he must have had a role to play in the decisions made by the government on how the vice president returns to Ghana. He's the foreign minister, and also one of the great pets of the vice president. The vice president, and I say pet, I mean pet in quotes. The vice president really likes him because they work together at education. And the vice president has testified on Sami Ablakwa many, many times. And he's a good guy. There's no doubt about that. But he's not just, you see how God works. You see, God can embarrass you. This is God embarrassing people. You are foreign. He's not a great minister. If he's a great minister there, he's sitting somewhere looking at his farm, doing planting for food and jobs and doing Nkokon Ketinkiti and those things. And the vice president flies over his head and comes to Accra. Fair enough. But here you are, Minister for Foreign Affairs. Vice president goes to London, it's foreign affairs. Vice president is coming from London, it's foreign affairs. So right in the foreign affairs, right on his desk, he must have played a role in the decisions that were made to fly this luxurious private jet. We have no problem with that decision. We think it is correct. It's a correct decision. The vice president has been unwell. She's coming in. In fact, even if we still had the presidential jet, but it wasn't in the state as comfortable as can take somebody who is just recovering from some short illness, we shall still fly a presidential jet. How much is the flying the presidential jet for Ghana? Ghana's GDP is what? Flying the vice president who needs it. Needs it is the point. The vice president needed that. Why should we not do it? We should do it. But because of what Ablakwa said to milk people and to get power, that is why we are talking today. Otherwise, it is nothing. If this happens in other jurisdictions, it is zero. Because some of those politicians don't do what we do in Ghana. I always told you that Joe Gatti told me that people don't respect politicians because of what politicians say about politicians. People think parliamentarians are thieves because of what parliamentarians... Have you ever heard an American congressman saying that another congressman who is in power is a thief? Have you ever heard a British MP saying that another MP in the government is a thief? They never say these things because they know that you can't prove it. So you shouldn't say it. They argue with them, they tackle them, but they never call them names like thief and crook and all that. But here in Ghana, because some people know that without that they cannot come to power, they cannot argue on the basis of what is happening and bring them to power. They always must take advantage of human feelings. Economy is difficult. Price of maize is high. Price of kenke is high. So the president is a thief. That is why the price of kenke is high. Cecilia Dapa is a thief. That is why you are broke. That's why the country is broke. Because Cecilia Dapa has stolen all the country's money and put in her house. 6 months into office, Cecilia Dapa has not been even questioned. That's a beautiful video of the vice president arriving. Oh, yeah, I like this video. I like this video. I like this video. Oh, that's President Mahama. You know, President Mahama is very calm. He allowed his wife to do the embrace and all of that. I think that's great. I think that's great. Let's get back to that Ablakwah story. So this is Samuel Okudzeto. He has played a role in this video that you just saw in getting the vice president in. He sat on radio because he wanted Ghanaians to look at him as a saint and therefore elect the NDC into power. He said, which he didn't have to say, that whenever he's in power, and he didn't even limit it to the president too. He said the president or the vice president does something like this, he will resign from the government, assuming that he will have a ministerial position. That's what he said. That he will resign. Now he's foreign minister, and he's the one who has given birth to this story. The story of Naana Opoku Agyemang flying in a private jet to Ghana. Ablakwah said if this happens, he will resign. Do I think he should resign? No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. He's a young man, just started a foreign ministry. He has opportunity to make something happen. Why should he resign? I don't think he should resign. But he must have the presence of mind to come out and apologize to Ghanaians. Like Fifi Kwete did at the appointments committee. Ablakwah must apologize to Ghanaians that I said it. I meant it then, but looking at the circumstances now, I shouldn't have said that. He should say it. He, Ablakwah of all people, should say. Otherwise, one day, he may find himself as foreign minister flying the private jet himself. God knows how to let that happen. God, he knows how to let Ablakwah himself fly a private jet into Kotoka International Airport. And he will wash his face and wonder whether he's dreaming, and he will not be dreaming. It is he, Ablakwah, who has flown. Do you remember Peter? When Jesus told Peter that you deny me, he said, you saw what happened. So Ablakwah should apologize. Otherwise, one day, God will make he Ablakwah himself, foreign minister. He will fly a private jet. He will forget. He will sit in a jet in New York. He will forget that he has said that. He will arrive and pictures will be taken. He'll say, but you are the one who said it. And when the Professor Naana what happened, you didn't even apologize. Now you've done it yourself. These are the things we say about politicians. Learn how to talk. Don't over milk. Don't overtake advantage when you are in opposition. Be careful. Today I saw Franklin Kujo post something on Sam George. And he said, be careful what you say in opposition. I'm going to get to that as well. Sam George said so many things that if you play before him today, he has to dodge. He has to run away. So did Ablakwah. The desperation to get Akufo-Addo's government out of power without dealing with the substantial issues, but trying to deal with issues that will give you an advantage in opposition. Everybody in opposition can take advantage of it. I can organize a demonstration today that the dollar is gone down. Why is KK not going down? And then one day, a government will be in power. I'll be there. And they'll say, hey, Paul Adomoshe, you were the one who organized demonstration that KK should go down. You are in government. The dollar is this way. Why is KK not? Resign. But because I understand and I'm trying to build maturity, I watch the processes and deal with the substance. Not so much taking advantage of what has happened. You can't do that in politics. You can't. And Ablakwah must be ashamed of himself. He must be really ashamed of himself.